Can we get the Kenny Atkinson though? Can I highlight that? You played it in the open.
Oh, you got to hear this.
You played it in the open.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I want to replay that because I had a thought last night. So we're getting ready. I'm doing the 6, and we play. And I almost had to like run out right after and write it down, scribble it down like on the sheet because I go, oh my gosh, I did not bring this up. In the first 2 games, they're on the West Coast. I understand that. It didn't hit me, and then it hit me yesterday because he said this is not what he said yesterday before the game. There was something else completely different.
This was after the game. The first thing he said before he took questions.
But he was talking about just how different the team is, and he was like doing it was like a shoot around conversation, and then after the game he said this, and it really hit me again.
How it is when you win in Cleveland, man. They love you. When you lose, whew. It's the way it should be.
So, listen, I know we're still in the honeymoon phase here, but again, you got to have the players because I couldn't understand. And I had some people texting me like, well, there's a couple of Sensi runs here. And they go, guys, he won 64 games last year. You guys all praised him. He was the coach of the year, and now all of a sudden he's out on his ass, and people are starting to whisper and groan about him in the back shadows of the arena. I go, this is patently ridiculous here. We have to face facts, and I just have to wonder. I don't know what Donovan would have said or would have done. I don't know. I'm not trying to draw some conclusion that Donovan was secretly stumping for Kenny Atkinson and that there were other people who were problems. But this just goes to show you, there are coaches that are in over their head in the NBA. It happens every year. But you got to have the horses. And if you don't have the horses and it doesn't have the makeup, and you've already set a expectation like you did with 64 wins, I understand you suffer for it, and he does too. But I'm like, well, all of a sudden he's a good coach again? He knows better than anybody. Like, you got to have the players. You got to have the team.
Donovan brought something up last night in the postgame about Kenny's style and how it's meshing with the new roster. I just want to play it real quick. Listen to what he says about how Kenny is giving them a little bit of freedom to be themselves.
When you have that level of IQ in the locker room, you have that, I think it'd be fine. Like, you know what I mean? Even when we figure things out, and I think Kenny said he's going to let us do us, but also still be able to coach us. And I think when you have guys who are coachable, willing to listen, but also him giving us that freedom to go out there and kind of manipulate the game and figure things out, I think that's the best way to go about it.
He tried some things earlier in the year. I think he tried to find some things because I thought that they were stuck. And I know a lot of people were in a really bitter place with him. And I didn't think that they were taking it too very seriously. In that one game against Utah, I snapped and lost my mind there for a moment. I thought that he was trying to find some different things that might help them in the postseason, but it quickly became you are who you are. I wish Darius Garland the best. It sounds like everything was just Darius Garland's fault. That's not what I'm trying to make it out to be. But you clearly see when a team that's supposed to be going for an NBA championship, when you add another elite veteran to this team, what it does. And again, I'll use the analogy. I think that James Harden is the father that comes home that can watch the kids while my wife has been dealing with the children all day. It's 7 o'clock. I've come home. I've been in Cleveland all day. Now I will watch the boys. I think that that's what James Harden has become here. And it is a honeymoon phase. I understand that. But I don't know how long I think the honeymoon is going to last. I don't know when reality is really going to set in just until the playoffs because you're playing so many of these bad basketball teams. So I think you're going to see a lot of home games that just become a celebration and cavalanche and fun. And I kind of think we're kind of reverting back to last year because your schedule opens up and is so easy. I mean, you got a couple in there, but there's a lot of teams that are just poop as you get ready for the rest of the regular season after the All-Star break. But I'm glad for Kenny Atkinson. I've never even met the guy, and I think I like him. But I like J.B. Bickerstaff too. I thought he was a hard ass, but
he's got to worry about breaking up fights right now.
he's like Mills Lane over there.
He's got to worry about who's actually going to be available to play in the rest of their game.
Look at him actually earning his keep.
Everyone's getting in on the bandwagon.
Yep.
Is the afternoon show getting in on the bandwagon yet?
What's the matter?
At least one of them.
What's wrong?
Jonathan's been all in. I was just hearing him yesterday, and Nick's putting on all these caveats on which games matter and which ones don't. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm just going to have fun with the rest of the games.
Well, I don't know. He got really mad at me yesterday, so I'm not touching that now. And let everybody know that's Lima saying anything. I don't want to get spanked again.
I just definitely can tell, and part of it is like whether it's Jared Allen dropping 40.
We'll give up that second first-round pick for James Harden, but he won't do the.
Whether it was Jared Allen dropping 40 before the Harden move.
Ask him again in 3 weeks.
And he's shooting like 77% from the field over the last 8 games. And they're calling him Wilt in the locker room. It's insane every time he touches the ball, he scores. Or whether it's Sam Merrill, doing what he did last night. It wasn't the Beard's night. It was the Babyface's night. He was insane. He's making his first, was it 10 threes, 9 threes?
Yeah. Made a lot.
That he dropped.
Yep.
Is it starting to feel to you that they might be special? We don't like to throw around the term special.
Oh, it's very early.
Very often.
What's your definition of special? Is it just going to the finals? Because going to the finals is special to me.
Of course, going to the finals is special.
Okay, then yeah. Well, I thought that they could be a finals team, so yeah, special.
Yeah,
they could be special.
The only thing about the LeBron second time around, the finals were just.
I thought they were formality. Yeah,
it was a given, so it didn't feel as special. They won the title, so the next 2 years. You could kind of tell when they had Durant, it's like, but we don't. Are we going to be able to beat them? Right now, this feels like they are in the making, the early stages of special. Yeah. Doesn't mean they don't have flaws. And every team has flaws to some extent. There are no perfect teams. The Oklahoma City team that started out the year unbeatable, that's gone. Their fans are starting to get concerned about some things, and SGA is injured, and they have some shooting issues. We have our problems, too. Well, let's see when Evan Mobley gets back.
This is the first in-season trade. Even during the LeBron years, they did in-season trades, but that didn't completely change the direction that they were going.
Yeah, they would bring in Luol Deng.
Right.
That wasn't special.
Right.
No.
You had LeBron was special.
This, and you have 27 games to figure it out instead of 82, where it was you would get lulls in the schedule because it was 82 games, and people take off 2 weeks and go to Miami during that time.
I still think there will be a bit of a conversation as well coming up, you guys, about and I hate to say it because we're having fun right now, and I got to get to this Harden clip about loyalty here in a moment. But I think there's going to be conversations about whether or not we got overly confident, because the postseason I think is going to be a different animal. And if this team stays healthy, which is always the caveat. But obviously, if they stay healthy, I think that they can get through the first round pretty easily, and I think that they can get through the second round fairly enough. I think when you get to the final couple of rounds there, I think it's going to be a little bit more difficult, and I think that conversation will be thrown around. You have to be ready for it because they have a lot of work to do in a short period of time. When you make big real blockbuster trades, usually these are supposed to be helpful trades to help a team, down the stretch, trying to get over the hump. This is obviously a blockbuster trade. We're talking about an 11-time All-Star here. This is a first-ballot Hall of Famer in James Harden. Usually this is done in the summertime, and you have an 82-game schedule to ramp up. It's exactly what Owen said. You got 27 games left, and the postseason is going to be here before you know it. And when you're playing for keeps, it's going to be a little bit more difficult here. But let me get to this James Harden clip because I'm going to admit hypocrisy here. This is James Harden when asked about loyalty. It's a little bit lengthy. This is the post game last night in the homecoming here for the new Cleveland Cavalier James Harden, where everybody's in love.
And the whole quote-unquote loyalty thing I think it's overrated. I think this is a business at the end of the day, and it's a lot of money involved and a lot of decisions that has to be made. You know what I mean? So, if a player isn't producing, or if you don't see him in the future, or front office, some of them have to do a job and want to keep their job, so they gotta feel like they gotta do what's best for to keep their job, and they trade players. Or if a guy isn't happy and he wants to be traded to somewhere else, then it's a problem. It's just so many different dynamics that go into it. This is a business at the end of the day. So not even just the NBA, but people that have normal jobs have those same problems. It's just not magnified, you know what I mean? So for me, it's always about, I don't lose focus of, trying to compete for a championship, and then financially, making sure that my family is taken care of, you know what I mean? Because I'm very smart, and I've sacrificed a lot, financially, which I don't get credit, I don't get talked about, but I'm fulfilled and I'm happy with it, But winning a championship, or at least having a chance to, and then financially getting paid for, me being available and playing at the highest level for so long. So To answer your question, this is a business at the end of the day. So I feel like players should, ultimately do what's best for them, and front office does what's best for them and their owner and their organization. So, it's two sides of a story.
It's hard for me to process this because I know what I would say hearing this clip if he still played for the Los Angeles Clippers or he played for the Houston Rockets or anybody else that he's played for. I know how I would feel about this. The whole you got to take care of your family. You know how I am. I'm an emotional boy, and it would turn into, well, how much do you need? Is this a little Trell Sprewell thing about you can't feed him on $30 million a year alone? Like, what are you going to do?
Boy, $30 million. Those were the warm and wholesome days.
Yes.
The James Harden has made $500 million.
Choking out PJ Carlesimo. Yeah. These were wholesome times. I feel differently because he's a Cleveland Cavalier. And so it's hard not to get warm and fuzzies because this team that I didn't think was going to go to a place that I needed it to go for us to be excited looks like the finals are going to be a different animal. The Eastern Conference finals are going to be a different animal. But this team looks like it's competitive. And because it looks competitive and it looks like we're having fun again, it's very hard to be critical. But I have to call myself out for hypocrisy. What's the reason I love Jose Ramirez and I won't say bad things about him? Right? I mean, there's really nothing bad to say. But, if he goes up there and he goes, 1 for 8 in the first 2 games of a wild card series and people start calling in and bitching and I won't take their call or I get really agitated, why do I get really agitated? So when it comes to James Harden, and by the way, I think that this is a guy who's played for so many teams. We have talked about him being lied to. How can I call James Harden a nefarious figure for what he just said there, where I would look at it and go, yeah, you know what? If Daryl Morey told me fibs, I might not be too thrilled myself. And there's also a lot of guys in history who've worked in front offices, Tone, who have used fans against players, who have used fans' sentiment against players, thinking a player will blink because they don't want to handle the heat from the fans. And James Harden's a guy who clearly it lost care for that a long time ago. I think when Kevin Durant left, I think that something in him changed, and I think that it changed with Daryl Morey, and I think that he's going to enjoy it while he's here. I don't think that this is going to end well. I don't, but I have to remember these words that I'm saying right now because I have to call myself out for my own hypocrisy. If he said that anywhere else, I think, and we played it, one, I'd go, well, we're I don't know why we play it, but okay, if you decided to play it about loyalty and have a big conversation about loyalty, I'd be sitting here probably saying, that's a guy who doesn't get it. Well, because he wears a Cavs jersey, we were all excited last night. Yeah, I tend to take his side on things.
But you would have said, and I appreciate,
it's hard. I'm an emotional person.
The honesty over it.
Thank
and
you.
I do think these are the types of clips that rub a lot of people the wrong way. My thing is, this is a guy who's out in the open about it. At least he's telling you the truth for once. So many guys try to make it sound like they love where they get drafted. They love the fans when they get in the press conference. Then behind the scenes, like, give me my money. This guy's like, no, I want to play for championships. I want the money. I'm being honest. For once, an athlete is flat out saying, he's not burying the lead. He's saying what he's in this for. And part of it is, yes, he's had, throughout the extent of his career, he's played for different teams. He's considered a mercenary. But, the guy that went and brought him, into Philly lied to him about a contract, and nobody disputes it really. And even Daryl Morey kind of doesn't dispute it. Like he told you one thing.
He just tries to move on with the conversation.
And he didn't. And what Harden said in that is, hey, everybody always wants it their way. They want to be able, and the teams and the fans, they want to be able to embrace these players. But the minute there's diminishing returns on the players, they're like, oh, yeah, trade them. You got to get rid of them. And what do teams do? What do teams do in the NFL? My God, the NFL, they have the guarantee contracts in the NBA, but in the NFL, all they have, all the players have is, the unfortunate part of they'll get rid of you the minute that they don't think you can help them.
Yeah.
And because of the franchise tag in the NFL, players cannot exercise any of their power the way they can in the NBA. In the NBA, you don't necessarily get to play where you want because they can still trade you, but you get your guaranteed money. So James Harden's just like, yeah, I'm just going to be upfront. I'm going to be honest about it. This is a business. This is what this league is. And James Harden, has he held up his end of the bargain for the most part? he's playing 17 years. And there are a lot of guys that come and go in that time span. Pretty clearly, like James Harden spends time on his craft. He's put the work in. How many guys in the NBA don't get better? And it's like, oh, are these guys at the club every night? James Harden's at the club? Okay, but his game's held up. It's pretty clear that guy is still working and still honing his craft. This might be the best version of James Harden.
I heard this comment on the drive-in this morning, and I thought to myself, like, man, we're not going to have this for very long, right?
No.
And so that starts to get you into depression already, right? And we're just 3 games into it, but trying to not focus on that now. Trying to just – but, yeah, you're right. Like, that's what the NBA is. You don't get it as much in football, especially at quarterback, right? Like, that's the position that's kind of comparable to these NBA superstars. Mm-hmm. You don't get it there, but it happens so much in the NBA now, and it's happened for the majority of my adult life now.
I'm just used to it. Yeah, I'm almost in a way. I've been able to kind of separate myself from. It's kind of sad too. Like I don't embrace. I told you guys, like at the end of last week, I don't fall in love with the players anymore like I did when I was a kid and would have the jerseys and put them up on the wall.
You're a 44-year-old man.
Cut up the magazines.
You can't.
And you fall in love with the guy. How many people in this town? How many young people fell in love? God, it was grown men too with Baker Mayfield. And we always warned people like it's going to end bad. It always does.
I didn't think it would end as bad as it did. I didn't think it was going to do that. Like that was Hindenburg bad. That was pretty bad. But I didn't think it was going to end like that.
But the teams will always. I think Harden's point is the teams will always turn on us.
Yeah.
So why does this? Why can't people recognize that? Yeah, this needs to be a two-way street.